Hi, my name's Callie, and I'm going to be describing a horrific natural disaster that struck the Iberian Peninsula in 1755. It began with a high-magnitude earthquake and snowballed into fires and ultimately a tsunami that basically destroyed the entire city of Lisbon, Portugal. Hi, my name's In an account by Reverend Charles Davy, published in Earth Science magazine, Davy described the initial shaking and a large tremor that tore his house down. He stated his house was instantly stunned with the most horrid crash, as if every edifice in the city had tumbled down at once. The house I was in shook with such violence that the upper stories immediately fell. The earthquake occurred on November 1st, 1755, which was on a religious holiday known as All Saints' Day. Because of this religious holiday, the people of Lisbon were primarily congregated in Mass, which meant that they were in churches filled with a lot of ceremonious candles. When the quake hit the city, the shaking immediately collapsed many of the churches, which in turn caused fires to erupt all over the city because a lot of candles were knocked over. Many people sought shelter near the harbor to escape from the fires, but the earthquake had also triggered a tsunami, which was 10 to 15 meters in height and killed thousands of people. The earthquake's hypocenter occurred approximately 200 kilometers southeast of Lisbon. The tectonics of the area are complex and plate boundaries are ill-defined. It has been long understood that the quake occurred between the African and Eurasian plates within the Straits of Gibraltar. Because the earthquake in 1755 triggered a tsunami, the seafloor was deformed, meaning that the hypocenter couldn't have been more than 30 kilometers deep. Recent geophysical evidence suggests that tectonic movement is at a slab retreat on a subducting plate that's tipping east, with extension behind the subduction zone. This rollback slab is likely locked in place or moving very slowly. Turbidite sequences, which are sedimentary deposits on continental shelves that form by underwater avalanches, shows that likely earthquake intervals are about 1,000 to 2,000 years in the Iberian Peninsula. The earthquake and resulting natural disasters impacted a lot of humans. At least 60,000 people died, but as many as 75,000 deaths have been reported. Many churches and infrastructures failed, and as much as 90% of the city's buildings collapsing. The tsunami destroyed the harbor and killed thousands of people that were seeking shelter from the fires. The natural disasters also sparked religious and philosophical debates over divine justice. Also, recovery efforts from the earthquake marked the birth of seismic studies. The environmental impacts of the natural disaster weren't as great as the human impacts. Damages were primarily confined to the city of Lisbon and surrounding areas. However, the tsunami that struck Lisbon also traveled to Caribbean islands, although it was not as great in magnitude and caused little damage on those islands. Global climate was likely not affected by the natural disasters, and animals that were within the city of Lisbon and surrounding areas were likely killed in the disasters. The lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere were all involved. The earthquake in Lisbon in 1755 led to many fascinating facts and lessons learned. Portugal's King Joseph I appointed Marquis de Pombal to coordinate recovery efforts. He not only coordinated cleanup efforts, but also built the first earthquake-resistant buildings in Lisbon by ordering Portuguese troops to march around models. Additionally, he surveyed surrounding areas by asking about aftershocks, damage, length and direction of the quake, and damage to wells and water supply. These investigations allowed officials to create maps and initiate seismic research. This research influenced the entire globe. Another interesting fact is the religious impact the disaster held on the Western world. Voltaire and Alexander Pope and other philosophers wrote positive, optimistic pieces about the world after the disaster because many formed a negative view of God's wrath.